Part 21. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 202. 2011 Shabby Gift. But who knew that the old man shook his head, no. So here, and Chinese. Our master is from Earth. Yekong suddenly thought of something, blurted out, is that the first statue by the pond? The old man nodded. Yekong guessed again, is he called Wuxing Sanren? How do you know? The old man was shocked. That's it? Yekong took out the 5 Elements Ascension Sutras, and explained the causes and consequences. It's been a long time ago, and it seems that it's really God's will. The old man looked at the 5 Elements Ascension Sutra in his hand and shook his head. I will give your master the 5 Element Ascension script that was recreated after the Ascension. That method is more stable and powerful. Are there newer versions? Yekong rejoiced and asked, the 5 elements are still in the upper world, aren't they? The old man shook his head, his face bleak, and said, it's all dead. If not, who else would we want to inherit? Ah! They're all dead? Not sorry, you can live with heaven and earth, Yekong asked puzzledly. Don't ask, one day you will understand. The old man did not want to say more, and asked, the name of the master is not a problem in this world. If you rise to the upper world in the future, it will be thousands. Don't mention it to others, or it will cause you big trouble. It seems that the villagers of the 5 elements are famous in the fairyland. Yekong smiled bitterly, I am only refining the 4th layer of gas now, and I am far away from phase hung. I do not know if it can really soar. I heard that there were only 2 soaring in the Kangnan continent in the last 10,000 years. That was not the case in antiquity. The old man replied, it was not so difficult at that time. There is a reason for the current situation. It is because the previous world was disgusted with the Zikang stars, deliberately suppressed it, did not give complete exercises, and even opened up the space channel. Let the demons occupy the Kangbei continent that is most suitable for the cultivation of immortals. It turned out to be this way. I never thought that the Kangbei continent was captured by demons, because some people in the fairyland deliberately did it. Yekong thought about it and asked, these people can have this ability, I am afraid that they are not ordinary people in the fairyland, but what I don't understand is why do they have such a hatred with Xianxia? The old man sighed, it's not because of us. No, Yekong now understands something. The so-called career, 8 achievements is against some of the most powerful characters in the fairyland. Thinking about your own cultivation, Yekong quickly waved his hand. Uncle Shi, you are all immortals after the ascension, but you can't do that. You want me to be a little monk with 4 layers of gas refining to do with them? Well. Do not worry about it, cultivation can be promoted. Since destiny sends you to this world, you have no choice but to go this way. Even if you do not want to inherit our career, those who know your origins will also it will be merciless, so your only hope is to step them over to the ground so that they can never turn over. Said the old man, his eyes shone with a cold glory, and it seemed that they were different from the hatred of the opponent. General. After the old man spoke, he comforted, you don't have to worry too much. These are far from you. You can cultivate with peace of mind, and you will have a day of success. In addition, the fairyland, including the fairyland, will also be able to. There are people who support us. It seems that it is not acceptable to not accept, Yekong helplessly said, well, I'll take it for the time being, but I can't guarantee which step I can take. Also, I don't even have the means to protect myself now. What am I going to fight with those guys? I've prepared everything for you, the old man said, taking off the storage ring on his finger and handing it to Yekong. This is the gift that the old man gave you. Yehalo was overjoyed, took one of the storage rings, but shied away from his mouth. I'm embarrassed by the gentleness of the old man. I'm sorry for the little leaves. It's so bad, I can't ask. The old man with a smile laughed, Can't you grab that fast? No, I'm afraid I might break it, Yekong replied hypocritically. After the old man took off the ring, he wiped away his spiritual knowledge. Yekong could easily put it on and apply his spiritual knowledge. Looking into the ring with spiritual knowledge, Yekong fainted, and he found himself deceived. No, there are two things inside. I saw a large golden-colored token of jade and a flat palm in the large storage space. That's enough. Here is the hard work of all of us. The efforts of all of you. Are you too poor? Give some elixir of ascension, or ancient treasures, heavenly treasures, or you can give some superb spirits. The old man didn't even bother, and said, well, I should go now, because this soul is here. The old man can't even reborn. Hey, Mr. Shi, I still have a lot of questions, and what is this golden brand? There are words on the other side, the road is divided into yin and yang, and Zikang shoots heaven, what a mess. The old man said to leave. The figure has gradually become transparent. He calmly said, Zikang is a purple Kang Xing, Tianlang is a mountain, you will know when the time comes. Brother, don't worry, and Deu, Yekong thought about Deu again. In the back room, you can take her away when you go. And, as soon as you leave, what about this hole? Can Brother Huekui in the cave be free? Oh, and the most important thing, where can I go out? Yekong asked several questions quickly. This old man is really too much. There are so few gifts. He doesn't even want to say more. There is a teleportation array in the back room. You can leave by yourself. You don't need to worry about the others. After the old man, she said, he had faded. The transparent figure flashed and disappeared. His immortal is stubborn. No wonder people call him a rebirth, and he really rushed to rebirth. Yekong snorted, holding the storage ring on his finger. Although the harvest is not big, but nothing else, this storage ring is worth the old nose money, plus the queen, the fire, and the soil that were harvested before. It's not enough. Being a man cannot be too greedy, otherwise it is to cut JJ. When I walked to the room before the old man, the room was small. There was a white light transmission array in the corner of the room, and the walls of the room were covered with switches and screens, just like a spaceship. Yekong couldn't check it, he had to find Deu first. However, I did not see Deu, but saw a collar-like thing, flying in mid-air. Yekong took it, and saw 3 small characters Soul Beast collar on it. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 203. 2020 Send Out. Yekong hit his own spiritual knowledge and immediately felt Deu. Let's go, Yekong sang, and a small crystal water dragon appeared immediately, but the collar was still wrapped around Deu's neck. Deu, are you okay? Yekong asked quickly. It's okay, thanks to Shilao who brought me here. At the moment when the ban was initiated, Deu hovered back and forth around Yekong's body. Oh, would you take this ring off? Yekong was reluctant to trap a dog around the neck of the life-saving benefactor. But Deu didn't want to, and asked, doesn't the sun like Deu to follow? No, no. Yekong quickly waved his hand. We are friends and are equal. You can follow me, but I can't cover you like a farm animal. But other people don't all set their own spirit beasts. Why can't I set it? It seems that Deu is very dissatisfied and doesn't let her set up this circle. There is no concept of equality and freedom at all in Kangnan. Deu didn't understand it, she thought it was good. Yekong explained to her that it was useless for a long time and had to say, just put it on like this. While talking, I heard an alarm sound in the room. Alarm. Alarm. This room will start a permanent shutdown procedure after 10 seconds. Yekong did not dare to stay longer. 10 seconds, then hurry up. There is a one-way teleportation array in the room. The formation method has been activated. Yekong pays attention to it. Around the teleportation array, there are a lot of middle-class spirit stones. On the array eyes, it is a flash of jade. Yekong is no stranger to this stuff. Before that, Master Ma gave him a piece, but it didn't work. Old man Shi had already prepared it for him. At the same time, a quiet room in Qingminggu. The stone door opened slowly, and a white-bearded old man stepped out in a square step. Although he looked calm, but looked carefully, he was extremely displeased. When the monk Yuanying came out, the real person in charge of Qingminggu quickly greeted him and performed a ritual. Master. Shi Dingfeng snorted annoyedly. He had planned to retreat well this time, and learned about the advanced methods of the late Yuanying. But who knows that he has been disturbed twice and changed his mood. The ancestor is not surprised. It really happened again. The real person in charge saw the ancestor of Yuanying getting angry, and hurriedly explained. Say, what? Shi Dingfeng's tone eased a lot, but he was still very unhappy. But the words of the real man suddenly shocked him. The head of the real person said, the Motoya forbidden ground collapsed just now, and the hole is completely buried. I don't know what happened in the hole, so I want to ask the ancestor, how to deal with it? Collapse. Shi Dingfeng's face sank, and his figure had disappeared before the real person in charge could speak. This is exactly the teleportation technique unique to the monk infancy. The real person in charge knows that the situation is urgent, and the sweat on his head quickly hurries back. What the is going on? Shi Dingfeng said angrily at a large pit on the ground. Originally outside the forbidden area was a small hill-covered cave, but now the cave is gone, and the small hill cover is gone. There is only a large pit with a diameter of several squares, which is not deep, like a crater, with soil inside. The caretaker discouraged the anger of Yuanying's ancestors and did not dare to conceal anything. He said in a grievance, Master, we don't know. There is nothing special about this hole these days, but just now, it suddenly banged. Although the sound was not loud, I saw that it seemed to be empty below, and the rocks and dirt were falling down. After a while, it was like this. Did anyone go in these days? Shi Dingfeng knew that his disciples would not and did not dare to lie to himself. No, everyone in this place knows it's dead, no one except the little monk who went in that day. Little monk, Shi Dingfeng's face moved, with long beards, and she groaned. Was that the kid destroying inside? But it's impossible. In the past, even the monk Yuan went in, and none of them had come out. What kind of storms can the little monk on the fourth floor of the gas refining experience? The real person in charge has already rushed over at this moment, and also reminded, Master, I have doubted that little monk, but because of his cultivation, it should not cause such a big movement. Shi Dingfeng shook his head, don't you look down on that little monk, don't you forget that he almost blasted a hole in the Valley Guard method with a spell that day. The real person in charge immediately laughed and said, it's Shizu Yingming, why didn't I think of it? Shi Dingfeng was beaten up by someone, and his heart was refreshed, and he laughed, I can't think of this. When the old man passed away the dog for hundreds of years. The head of the real person is depressed. Master Shi, what you said, is it that I have passed the dog for over 100 years? But he didn't dare to run against the ancestor busy and smiled, Master, that little monk is really too abominable, should we Qingminggu initiate the pursuit of him? Shi Dingfeng immediately reprimanded, it's foolish. Our Qingming Valley was disturbed by a chicken and a dog from a gas refining monk, and it finally blew him a forbidden land in the valley. Do you want all monks in Kangnan to laugh at us? The real person in charge scolded himself for talking a lot. It's really been over 100 years for dogs. The major schools of repairing immortals have paid attention to face. Isn't Qingminggu spreading this out? But let this little monk run away, the head of the real man replied. Who said he ran away? Shi Dingfeng said angrily, don't use your mind. Even if the little monk had done this, I guess he died in it, I don't believe it, he can escape safely. The ancestor was right, if there were no ancestors, we would have no backbone. The real person in charge quickly rushed to the horse and then asked, so here. Shi Dingfeng has a smile, and said in his heart that this little monk blew up the forbidden land of Bengwu, and it was not all bad. In fact, he has been stunning secrets in the forbidden area for a long time, but because of the door regulations and fear of danger, he has never dared to go into the hole, and now the explosion has just given him an excuse. Find a few monk builders and dig for me. Shi Dingfeng said that it was a violation of the door regulations, and quickly added, after the excavation and reconstruction, our forbidden area in Qingming cannot be destroyed like this. Yes, my ancestor is right, I'm going to find someone the head of the real thought, the reconstruction is false. Is it true that you want to find grandpa's baby in it? Where is this? Yekong looked around and found himself in the mountains. At this moment, it was night, the mountains were high and low, undulating, like black waves, and the margins were invisible. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 204. Volume 2 Kang Tao. The 20th 5-year Danhua infant law. Looking up, a round of bright moons will always give away the brilliance, and there are faint clouds in the sky, but when the clouds move, the eyes full of glittering stars will be exposed. Deu, come out to see the moon. Since Deu was unwilling to take off the collar, Yekong had to let her wear it, so that's fine. As long as Yekongji moved, Deu could come out, and her heart moved again, and she returned in the collar. Wow! It's so beautiful. As soon as Deu appeared, the dragon's claws closed and rushed to the sky. Moonlight is like silver, reflected on the crystal clear water dragon's body. When the water dragon circled, the layers of scales on the body reflected glittering silver, like dreams, pleasing to the eyes. Seeing all this, so beautiful, Yekong couldn't help driving the flying carpet and flying up into the air, playing with Deu. Or chase, or hover, or swing up and down, or circle in a big circle, Yekong rarely relax. Deu is also the intelligence of a little girl, and the two of them are very happy. Suddenly Deu asked, why do you drive a flying carpet? You ride on me, that's much faster. In fact, Yekong also thought about this problem. Long Fei's speed must be faster than the magic weapon. I don't know how many times, but he really treats Deu as a friend. He always feels that riding a friend as a mount is not good. Since Deu took the initiative request, then he readily agreed. Jumping directly from the flying carpet to Deu's back, in order to make Yekong stand more comfortable, Deu deliberately became much larger than usual, so standing behind the dragon head was very comfortable. But Yekong still felt so uncomfortable, and said to Deu, you get smaller, so I can ride on you. Yeah, hold your two horns, doesn't it matter? Deu's personality was docile and obedient, and immediately became smaller, just to let Yekong's legs spread away, and Yekong held a dragon horn of Deu with one hand, and it felt like driving an airplane. The captain ordered, take off immediately. Yekong gave an order, and Deu's four claws flickered, and a flash of light usually shot out, and a clear stream of water passed quickly in the night sky. Yekong looked at the mountains under his feet, as if the waves were moving backwards quickly. He couldn't help feeling, Long Fei is fast. Compared with my flying carpet, that's the difference between high-speed rail and tractor. Deu couldn't understand, and asked, what are high-speed rails and tractors? Are they also beasts? Can they ride? Yekong laughed, these are two kinds of mortal cars. They can only ride, not ride. Upon hearing this, Deu was happy, and said, my son, will you just ride me later? There is ambiguity in the sentence. Yekong patted Dragon's head and said, this is not possible, in addition to you, this son has to ride a woman. Deu was displeased when he heard, my son, can women ride, too? Women run faster than me. Of course you can ride, and you can be ride by a woman. Oh, your kids, everybody, Why do you ask so much? Yekong didn't know where the teleportation team sent him, riding on Dao for a while. The area of the Kangnan continent appears to be much larger than the Earth, and it has not been polluted by industrial civilization, so the virgin forests are also very vast. Yekong, no matter where it is, he directs Dao to fly in one direction. And he took out the jade in the storage ring to see how the improved version of the Five Elements Ascension Sutra was different. Digging the spiritual knowledge into Yekong, a short look, Yekong discovered that the original version of the new method has increased the cultivation method, fully utilizing the strong advantages of the 5 elements of the ascension of the scriptures, making the skills more vigorous. 5 spiritual power is also more stable. In simple terms, a practice method called Wudanhua Infant Dafa was added. Ordinary people's dandan period is to produce 1 golden dan, but this technique can produce 5 golden dans. In the UN infant period, 5 jindans will also bear 5 UN infants. Yekong had heard of the cultivation of the second infant, but he had never heard of the cultivation of 5 infants. It seems that this practice is really extraordinary. The biggest benefit of practicing Wudanhua Dafa is that the spiritual power is more pure. As I said before, the spiritual root and the spiritual root are precious. Although the ordinary 5 Elements Ascension Sutra has a huge amount of inhaled aura, after all, the 5 auras are mixed together, and they cannot be regarded as pure. It can be different after the revision. The 5 jindans have stored 5 different auras, and the 5 auras are separated, which is definitely a pioneering work in the cultivation of immortals. In this way, the 5 elemental spiritual roots become the 5 heavenly spiritual roots. Often, 1 heavenly root is difficult to find, but Yekong has 5 heavenly roots in his body. In addition, these 5 golden dandelions can also coordinate with each other, cooperate, and form various psychic roots when they are exported. It can be said that it is difficult to practice the 5 Danhua infantry Dafa without cattle. Exit was all occupied by him, and it was startling to think about it. This modified 5 Elements Ascension Sutra is the same as the original in the gas refining period. It is different only when it is built, so Yekong's gas refining period is not white. With this technique, why not worry about flying? Thinking of this, Yekong would be a bit grateful to Lu Zhen. If this guy had not forced himself to this point, he would not have had such an adventure. Even so, Yekong didn't want to let Lu Zhen go. This guy killed Zheji and he had to avenge himself. Although Zheji is a barbarian monk, this doesn't affect friendship. Then go to Lu Zhen to get revenge. Putting Yuchen into the storage ring, Yekong took out the golden token again. Obviously, this is not an ordinary thing, this thing must also be more valuable than Jade Cambodia. The old man she has been guarding for so many years, how can it be garbage? However, Yekong still didn't understand how to use this thing. It was definitely not a magic weapon, and there was no response when spiritual power was input. Yekong guessed that there are 2 possibilities. One is to open some kind of prohibition or enter a certain place like the Bingling Mountain Lingquan Cave. Second, this is a token. The old man she said that some people in the immortal world would support himself, maybe he just used this proof. But those were far away. Yekong put the token into the storage ring. As a gas refinery repairer, bringing a storage ring is too arrogant. This behavior is purely a flashlight to go to the toilet and find death. Yekong took off the ring, tied it with a silk thread, and hung it around his neck so that no one could see it. After a while, a magnificent city appeared at the end of the mountains, and the lights in the city were brilliant and very eye-catching. Yekong decided to enter the city to find out where to go. If he entered the city on a water dragon, it would be too conspicuous. At the foot of the hill outside the city, landed down and collected Dao into the spirit beast circle. Yekong came to the side of the city. Above the high city walls, there are 3 quaint characters, Huangzhou City. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Jian Yi. Chapter 205. Encounter with bandits in 2014. Might I have come to Huangzhou city in Angguo? It's not far from home. Yakong felt a little surprised. The southernmost point of Angguo is Nanzhou, where the Ye family is located, and to the north of Nanzhou, Huangzhou is next to it. If this is really the Huangzhou of our country, then I can also visit some acquaintances. By the way, Yakong's so-called acquaintances are Huangsuan, real people in Huangzhou Wanjia. I haven't seen them for a few years and I don't know the old. Did the guy really realize that he had broken his old place by marrying a wife? Although Yakong wanted to enter the city to inquire about Wanjia, he did not enter the city. Because of the sight of the city gate, Yakong was surprised. I saw outside the moat, all eyes were temporary shacks, some of them were on fire, others were black holes. There were rags and everywhere, a desolate scene, unbearable. In this situation, Yakong has seen that when the war with the barbarians started, many nearby villagers fled to south capital. Because there were too many refugees and the city could not accommodate them, they set up shacks outside the city. I don't know if it is Huangzhou, the country. The most bitter people in this world are the people Yakong sighed, and he was a little confused. After all, only Nanzhou is fighting, and there is no fighting in Huangzhou. Where are so many refugees? He wanted to find someone to find out. It was already deep before the night, and the refugees went into the shack to sleep. The only thing the refugees want all day long is that they can eat a little, and sleep well at night. Yakong didn't want to disturb them either. He just wanted to go to the city to find someone, but after taking a few steps, his ears suddenly moved. In a slightly larger shack, a white-haired old man was kneeling on the ground, begging the two officers and men in front of him to look like men. Brother Bing, I have given you all the valuable things in my family. Two of you have raised your expensive hands and let go of Yingzi. Brother, I beg you, she is only 14 years old. Your mother, old thing. A fierce-looking soldier stomped the old man, and returned to the straw bed. This is not a bed. It is actually a layer of straw on the ground, but it doesn't matter what it is. You can sleep as much as you like. On the straw, a young girl with a neat dress is struggling hard. The refugees are all dusty, ragged, and some have a dirty face. This girl is not the same. She has a beautiful face and neat clothes. Although she is a refugee, she is not like Hanako. This is why the two soldiers are so fond of her. At this moment, the girl was with hands and feet, and her mouth was tied with cloth strips. She twisted desperately, like a fish leaving the water, and wanted to jump back into the water. But this fish has already been placed on the cutting board. No matter how she jumps, she cannot escape her fate. Little girl, don't toss, let Bing's elder brother be happy, haha. Benji laughed with a suppressed voice. The other soldier was also drooling, looking at such a tender little girl. He felt like a fire was burning, but he had to let the captain do it first. Captain, I have a good idea. I want to grab the big shack first. These are big households. The rotten ship also has 3 pounds of nails. Haha, and these girls do farm work. Not even a cocoon. The soldier named Captain pounced on the girl and smiled. You're right, such a girl is good. Not only is there no cocoon, but she is really sweet. Suppressed by the soldiers, the girl struggled and twisted even harder. And the old man pounced again, and the old tears begged in tears, Brother Bing, you have spared Yingzi. Xiao Lao gave you did this kind of thing. How will she be a human being? She. Get off. Old man, be careful, I hack you. Bing Yan is pushing the old man again, but this time the old man is not so easy to push away. Tie him. The captain squeezed the girl, turning his head impatiently to the soldier. It's better to kill. When the soldiers heard that he was going to kill the old man, the crushed girl was struggling crazy again, which made the captain have an idea. Little girl, the captain tried to restrain the girl's struggle, twisted her girl's white and round chin with her fingers, and said, it seems you are a filial pie, Do you want your father to survive? Just cooperate with me. Otherwise, kill you daddy, we still want to play with you. The girl is cowardly, she is filial, and at this moment, she is a lamb without resistance. She stopped moving, and tears rolled down in a pair of beautiful eyes. Haha, that's right, the captain laughed and rode on the girl, tearing his hands quickly. The girl's cooperation can save him a lot of time. In this way, he can grab a few more tonight, and when he has enough money, he can enjoy the world. Make evil. You beasts. You have no ability to fight barbarians, you only know to insult your own people. You deserters, the old man begged for no use crying loudly. The soldier who couldn't get in there laughed and laughed. You're right, we're bullying ourselves, how about it? You make us the Yeshigin's unsuccessful silly ex. The tears of the girl's clothes and pants, the resentment of the old man, the unscrupulous laughter of the soldiers, spread far away, but this soldier is wild, and who dares to do more? I can't take care of myself, what about those who have never known me? But at this moment, the curtain of the shack was lifted and a young man came in. Who said Yejiajin was a stupid ex? Benjayu didn't expect that he really made a fuss, and looked up unexpectedly. This young man has a face like a crown jade, his eyes painted, but his age is extraordinary. He was wearing a plain white gown, with a unique jade pendant hanging on the left corner, actually, the beast's circle, and two black pouches hanging on the right corner. At first glance, it was the wealthy son. The soldiers did not answer Yekong's question, but instead asked, "Who are you?" This boy has an extraordinary manner, and they dare not easily offend, otherwise, he would have been stabbed for a long time. It doesn't matter who I am. Yekong didn't want to say it, but someone helped him, Master 8. You are the 8th master of the Ye family. Before the old man was tied up, he screamed Master 8 to save his life and stumbled over to Yekong, knelt down. Know me. Suddenly there was a particularly bad feeling in Yekong. First of all, from their dialogue, Yekong knew that he was really in Angguo. The city in front of him was also Huangzhou city in the north of Nanzhou. Secondly, this old man knows himself, it shows that the old man is a man from the southern capital. Is this all from Nandu city? What disaster happened to the southern capital? The Mad Cultivator. Author, Jian. Chapter 206. 55 Ye family suffers. But before Yekong continued to ask questions, the two soldiers looked at each other and saw the ecstasy in each other's eyes. The imperial court wants to commit crimes. Dare to come out and swagger. Let's die. The captain dropped the little girl, pulled out his waist knife, and yelled at Yekong. Haha, regardless of life and death, 5,002, this is more money than grabbing refugees. Another soldier also raised his knife and rushed up. At present, the two enemies escaped from the military camp, robbed the refugees, and forced the civilian women. Yekong had already sentenced them to death. Now attacking Yekong without knowing it, of course, he would not be polite. I did not see Yekong's shot. I saw two straight silk threads, which disappeared instantly, and disappeared in no time. The white light was vertical, just passing the center of the eyebrows, the tip of the nose, and the throat. The captain who ran ahead stunned for a moment, and didn't feel bad, but once again stepped out of his right foot, but found that it was no longer possible. Step out with your right foot and can't close it? Then, he was surprised to find that his left eye saw his right eye. Oh, blood spewed. The white light flashed, and the two puppet soldiers were split up in two halves, which were extremely symmetrical. Suddenly, the intestines and brains were scattered. The old man who knelt begged Yekong for help was fainted. Hey, Lao Zhang, I still have something to ask you. Yekong pushed the old man twice, but didn't wake him up, so he had to hold the old man down on the straw. The 14-year-old girl is still very childish, Her eyes are full of tears, she can see the pity of the people, and she can't think of anything. Oh, don't move, I'll untie it for you. Yekong put down the old man and quickly went to untie the girl's rope. Thank you, Master 8. The girl was still very polite, and while concealing her body, she saluted Yekong Ying. I don't know if she was with blood, or because the straw under her feet was unstable, she was about to salute, but her body was crooked, and she fell towards Yekong. It's okay. Yekong's eyes sharpened, his hands and quickly supported the girl. Well, you still stand outside the straw. Master 8, I'm going to put on clothes, the girl said timidly. Okay, let's go, I have something to ask you right away. Yekong let go of the girl's hand, turned and walked back to the straw, stood still, and deliberately turned his back to the girl. The girl didn't change clothes, just put on a coat, blocked her body, and walked back to Yekong. The girl did this because she suddenly thought of something very important, very, very important. When she walked back, she saw Yekong holding a small green jade bucket and wondered what she was doing. Oh, your name is Xiaoying, Yekong asked for a moment, and handed the green small square tube to the girl. This is a jade Cambodian. You take this thing and go to the city to find Wangsuan real man in Huangzhou. If you can't find it, go to Guanfu and ask Huangzhou Wanjia's location. Your qualifications are not bad. It's Senlin. You have the opportunity to practice immortality. Then the girl realized that the 8th master had just grabbed her hand to check her qualifications. As a civilian in the Kangnan continent, although they do not know the immortal, the legend of the immortal is still very popular, and the girls have heard the legend of the immortal before. The girl took Yu Chen, and before she spoke, she watched the corner of her little mouth bend down, and then tears rolled down. Don't cry, don't get excited. You are indeed better qualified than me. Yekong thought the little girl was happy. But who knows, the girl knelt down to Yekong, grabbed Yekong's hand, and cried and said, Master 8, you are a good person, why does God always let good people be punished? You do nt know yet, Yehom, have already suffered. Hearing this, Yekong was struck by lightning. Even his immortal constitution couldn't help but have flowers in his eyes and his legs softened. He had felt wrong. From so many refugees in the southern capital and imprisoned prisoners in the deserter's mouth, he had faintly felt that there was bad news, but the worry in his heart had become a reality, or he could not bear it. Your loved ones, is your most lethal weakness, the old man's words lingered. Yes, Yekong is a man with a strong sense of love. He has been an orphan in the 28 years of life on earth. So when he came to the Kangnan continent, he cherished this love, especially Chen Juniang's selfless love for his mother. Lu Qianxiahong's love for him, even the cheap dad didn't care about him, but he never hated Yeharan, and the loyal elder brother Yewei, Zhang Wuyud, a cold-hearted teacher. Yekong, I hope that I can do everything to make them live in peace and happiness. But happiness is so fragile. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Jian Yi. Chapter 207. News of Horror. 10 days ago, the southern capital was always calm and calm. Yejiajin came through one after another. Our people are also very happy, listening to the news from the outside. General Yeharan is about to return, so it is not far from completely repelling the barbarians. It's. Listening to the little girl's narration, Yekong nodded his head, all of which he knew. But then, I heard the little girl say, but on the 3rd day of this month, suddenly outside the wind, General Yeharan wanted to rebel and was executed by the emperor. At the same time, there was a saying that General Yeharan had colluded with the barbarians and betrayed the country. On his way back, he has been killed by knights. In short, in the past 2 days, all kinds of rumors that were not good for the Ye family were full of streets. At first, The people in the city did not believe this rumor, but no one knew it for 2 days. They also said that General Ye had relied on the barbarians to sweat, and had abandoned Jenny's village. Ye, even if he died, would not vote against the enemy, and the situation is very good for the Ye family. He has no reason to vote against the enemy. Ye Kong immediately angered, nonsense. How could the elder brother hit his enemy with iron bones? Yeah, no one believed this rumor at the beginning, but on the same day, a large number of wounded soldiers poured into the city. Everyone said that the army of the Ye family was defeated, and the barbarian army would soon come over. Then, Dad took me out of the southern capital city and fled to this Huangzhou mansion all the way. On the way, the refugees who heard it said that the emperor had already decided that the Ye family would collude with each other and fight back. What? Ye Kong asked urgently. Hum the door. It's all over. The 4 words are like huge lightnings, which hit Ye Kong at once. No, no, they will be fine. Ye Kong comforted himself, but then he screamed again, I want you all to be buried. Ye Kong's roar was full of angry flames, a monk's roar, the sound shook the sky, and all refugees outside the city were awakened. When they got out of the shack one after another, they just saw a crystal clear dragon formed by the scales of clear water rising up to the sky. On the back of the dragon stood a boy in white shirt with tears on his face and blood on his eyes. Ang, a dragon groaned, shaking the ground, and then a white light shot straight toward the southern capital. In Huangzhou City, Xianxiaofu, how ye? No way, Master Xianxia, something is wrong. The housekeeper hurried to the courtyard where Xianxia lived. What panic! Lord Xianxia was also awakened by the dragon's groan, and while he was getting dressed, he stepped out and scolded, What's the matter if you don't just see a fairy? The steward quickly stood, and then said, A bleak master, it was indeed an immortal who drove away, but that immortal is not someone else. Who is it? Xianxia asked. It's Yejia's 8th and Yeharan's 8th son. Is there a fairy in the Ye family? Still riding a dragon, Xianxia was shocked. There are many immortals in this continent. Especially in Huangzhou there is a family of immortals. So the immortals are not so rare, but they can ride a dragon. Fairy, that's extraordinary. There are dragons in this world, but they are almost extinct. No one has seen them, and they can tame a dragon fairy. Is that still an ordinary fairy? Listening to the butler recounting what he heard, Xianxia sighed, This is a lively moment, Your Majesty is afraid to kick it on the iron plate, it seems I must rush to the situation. Southern capital, night. The city was full of torches, and the torches reflected the soldiers guarding the city. They had been defending here for 3 days and nights, and stood firm against the barbarian army several times theirs. They were all wounded to varying degrees, their faces were covered with blood, their eyes were exhausted and desperate, but they held Park's hands so firmly. The city is already a dead city. If the city breaks, there is only one way for them and the tens of thousands of people in the city to die. They can't fall, they can't flinch, and there's nowhere to run. However, they still have no hope of victory, because Nandu is already a real dead city, and no one will be rescued. Everyone knows that this is an abandoned city. If General Ye was there, how could this happen? The Emperor Dog knew how to frame Zhongliang. A soldier suddenly roared, and even more soldiers joined his roar. Yeah, this Dog Emperor knows that he is jealous of General Ye, sacrifices great land, and sacrifices the lives of the people, and just sits securely for his dragon court. We might as well fight for this Dog Emperor. Yes. It's the other way. As the sergeants stood on the city head, a soldier in the small hall in the center of the city was listening to his subordinates whispering a report. General Liu, I found out why Hu Changshao is still guarding Yefu, the soldier in Xingyi whispered. This young teenager was Ye Changjun, the centurion captain of Lujiaking. He didn't return from the front line in time, and retreated to the city, only to find that Ye's family had suffered. In grief, he suddenly discovered that the soldiers of Xianxia copied the Ye family but did not leave. For a few days, he was still guarded by heavy soldiers. This is a bit weird. Whether it is copying home or copying, there is no need to finish it. Is anyone still missing? When Lu Changqing was puzzled, he sent someone to investigate. Why? Lu Changqing asked in a hurry. Because some people survived, the soldier whispered. In the backyard of Yefu, a room didn't know what was blocked by it, but couldn't get in. They all guessed that someone was hiding inside. Oh, how could this be? Which yard? Lu Changqing asked quickly again. The soldier dipped his finger in tea and drew a sketch. Lu Changqing was immediately delighted. This is the yard where the 8th mother and son live. Couldn't Auntie Chen survive? It's very likely, the soldier nodded and said, yeah, when Yewu is both there, and there is a strong stand to the end. If it weren't for the 8th master's relatives, they wouldn't need to be so endless. Lu Changqing nodded, already having an idea in his heart. Holding the sword at the moment, he walked out of the small hall, just to see the crowds excited outside. As soon as he appeared, the soldiers who were filled with indignation all calmed down, waiting for reprimand. This kind of rebellious behavior before the front was punished extremely harshly. But I didn't expect to see Lu Changqing lift the sword in his hand and shouted, brothers are right. The court is faint and the emperor is no way. We Ye family soldiers killed him for life. General Ye and General Xiao Ye waited for me. Taishan, now General Xiao is killed and General Ye is assassinated by them again, can we be indifferent? No, all the indignant sergeants shouted. Lu Changqing said aloud again, now, the enemy is now under the city. Hu Qinshao's soldiers don't come to protect the city at all, but they keep around Yefu and vowed to kill the last person in the Ye family. Can we turn a blind eye? No, shouted again, shivering wildly. You must be safe outside you. Brothers, pick up your weapons and let us do one last thing for General Ye. Originally, those sergeants had no hope of retaining the city. Everyone had a heart of death. Anyway, they were going to die. Before they died, they gave General Ye a loyalty and let them all take up their weapons, regardless of the city. Head over and kill the Yefu directly. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Jian Yi. Chapter 208. Kill them all in 2017. Southern capital, Yefu. Yefu, which used to be peaceful, has now been completely occupied by soldiers, while the brothers Ye Wen and Ye Wu, who had slipped out of Yefu, have truly become the masters here. They are back again, back with radon, back with hatred, back with imperial edicts. Those loved ones once became their enemies, and now they have become dead. In addition, 3 women in Ye Kong's yard. Time passed day by day, and their hearts were extra worried. Brother, what if the old man comes back? Ye Wu still remembers Ye Kong's punch. I'm worried about this too. Ye Wen stunned, walked back and forth twice, and gritted his teeth and cursed, the fool, actually set up a fairy formation in the house, it's really surprising. Yeah, who knows that fool is so savvy. Damn, why can he cultivate immortals? Can we all cultivate immortals? Ye Wu couldn't help but be very depressed. No matter, let the sergeants continue to use the siege car to hit. I don't believe it, this formation will not hit. In the backyard of Yefu, a large hole has been demolished in the surrounding wall, in order to allow a large siege vehicle to come in. At that moment, the hole was blowing cold wind into it. Boom! Boom! A shocking sound echoed in the hearts of the soldiers. They were not Yejiajin, so there was no mercy at all. They shouted and slammed into the transparent protective layer outside the building. On the house. Inside the Fangfo are fierce enemies, barbarians, and enemies they don't share. Crash, Ye Wen, carrying his sword, appeared again in front of the sergeants. He could not rest assured not to kill the last few women. The emperor was not afraid of Yekong. He had the elixir of the elixir mountain to protect him for a long time. But Ye Wen was afraid. He also knew that Yekong was a cultivator. He was also afraid of revenge. However, if the last 3 women were killed, it would be different. These 3 women are the last to know, and if they kill them, Ye Wen can make a lot of effort. Even if Yekong returns, maybe he can get Yekong's sympathy. Therefore, these 3 women must be killed as soon as possible. Hurry up! Hit 102 bounties for each one, Ye Wen sighed in his heart, and now he was making huge profits, and he wanted to knock the formation out early. At this moment, a noise was heard at the wall that was torn apart, and countless torches illuminated that side as day. Ye Wen came to his heart very nervous. When he heard the movement outside, he asked quickly, "Who is the noise outside?" A small school ran over, and Abichud, "General Ye, the soldiers guarding the city outside, want to rush in." Ye Wen wasn't Yekong when he heard it. He was slightly relieved, and there was a sneer on the corner of his mouth. He had guessed that it was Yejiajan's old part. To those people, he is not afraid at all. Ye Wen is also a master. What can be worried about those sergeants? "Go and bring my winged tiger," Ye Wen Leng snorted and strode over. "Let us in. We Sergeant Ye family will guard the city for you, but you will kill General Ye's family members." "Are you still raised?" Lu Changqing roared with hundreds of sergeants outside the door. The soldiers in the city guarding house knew the reason, but they died biting "this is the imperative," and firmly guarded the door. "We are fighting in the blood, but you are stabbing the knife in the back, brothers." "We rushed in," Lu Changqing yelled, waving his knife to break into Yefu. "Carry on with General Lu. Everyone must die to think of himself. Be loyal to General Ye." Seeing a battle looming, I heard a loud drink from Yefu, "Holy purpose. I see who you dare to move." I saw Ye Wen come up with the imperial edict and looked coldly at these former comrades in arms without feeling the slightest affection. Ye Harem colluded with the barbarians, deceived the monarch, attempted to rebel, and was already far rectified. Do you still want rebellion? Go back and defend the city quickly, otherwise you will be punished for crimes. Lu Changqing snorted coldly and reprimanded, "Ye Wen, aren't you the Ye family? How much care did the old man care for you? You are not as good as a beast." After Lu Changqing finished speaking, the sergeants of the Ye family spit into the ground and cursed, "White-eyed wolf, it is human to have a dog." "You," Ye Wen blanched with anger and shouted, "I am a righteous one. I am carrying out His Majesty's will for the sake of the country and the people. How can you rough people understand? Dear righteousness, my uncle. Family members do not love, let alone love the country and the people." Lu Changqing spit on Ye Wen. When his subordinates were cast aside, Ye Wen became furious and angry, pointing at Lu Changqing, "Lu Changqing. You are a guard at the front door, you are good at leaving office, and you are instigating and inciting mutiny. Now you have to resist and disrespect. You want to be full, can't copy it? How's it?" The Emperor Lao faint and mediocre. Lao Tzu reversed this. Lu Changqing snorted again and again, "Ye Wen, aren't you afraid that Master 8 will come back?" When Ye Wen heard Master 8, his mind was condensed. "Why did you forget this kid?" Ye Wen raised a sneer in his mouth, gritted his teeth and said, "Lu Changqing, since you want to die, you can't blame me. Huh, these few people also want to rebel." After saying a wave, he ordered the soldiers, "Keep the defensive formation. The archers are ready. Kill these anti-thieves in place." Lu Changqing also knew that at the moment of life and death he said in his heart, "Master 8, you have to take revenge on me. General Ye, I'll be with you. Brothers. We have killed brutal soldiers, and now we have killed thieves. Even if we die, we are loyal. We are dead without regrets. Kill. Kill. Kill." The mantis arm blocked the car. "You can't help it," Ye Wen said, "these guys are dead. They have been on the city for a few days. They are all wounded and disabled soldiers, and their soldiers are all dragons. Be fierce." However, he soon discovered that he was wrong. These sergeants of the Ye family were all crawled out of the dead, and their combat experience and strength were incomparable to those of the government soldiers who had respect and superiority. As soon as they fought, Yejiajin quickly approached the soldiers, and the two sides tangled, making those archers unable to shoot. After the short soldiers were connected, the gap between the two sides became more clear. Often, several government soldiers dealt with one Ye family, but they still fell short. Lu Changqing slashed one with a knife and yelled, "Chong! Kill these dogs!" Ye Wen was not in a hurry, but took a few steps back and ordered, surrounded by park sword soldiers. Preparation for Yuhu camp. Ye Wen used the Gold Yuan offensive in the Winged Tiger camp to win over some soldiers, which is also his magic weapon. Sure enough, more than a dozen Winged Tiger battalion soldiers riding winged tigers and wearing iron armor appeared, and the soldiers of the Ye family did not dare to rush in. This Winged Tiger battalion is famous, and Sergeant Ye family knows the power of the Winged Tiger battalion. Not only are those winged tigers fierce spirit beasts, but also those sergeants riding Winged Tiger are also masters of martial arts. Haha, Lu Changqing, you are dead today. Ye Wu led more than a dozen Winged Tiger battalion soldiers, and slowly walked out of his own array, looking at the opposite side, his face killing. "Don't talk nonsense to them, kill them all," Ye Wen waved and ordered an attack. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Jian. Chapter 209. 28 Angry kills Ye Wen. "Kill," Lu Changqing hissed, his eyes were completely blank. General Ye treated him like a mountain, and cultivated a street orphan into a general. He could not help reporting this, and he hated himself for being late to the city. Can save General Ye's family members. There are 8 masters, treat him like a brother, help him marry a wife, donate money to buy a house, these are all in his mind, in return, just at this moment. Although knowingly lost, none of Sergeant Ye's team flinched, knowing that he would die, and he had to move forward heroically. Yejiajin had only fallen heroes and no bears kneeling. Kill them all. Don't be merciful. Ye Wuxian was afraid that other brothers of the Tiger camp would not be able to start with the former Comrades in Arms Association, so he ordered another sentence to urge tigers and pounce on Lu Changqing. Capture the thief first, capture the king. Ye Wu is to kill the leader Lu Changqing in one fell swoop, in order to have a deterrent effect on others. Although Lu Changqing crawled out of the dead, what could happen? Ye Wu has also been on the battlefield. My mind is even more fierce than before. Ye Wu Wuzhong is far superior to you. I still have a winged tiger. Haha, can you still live? Ye Wu waved his sword and was ready to kill Lu Changqing in one fell swoop. But at this moment, Ye Wu, including his Winged Tiger camp partners, discovered a bizarre incident. Because they found that the extremely obedient Winged Tigers all gave birth to the phenomenon of unwarned fear. More than a dozen Winged Tigers squatted on the hind legs, relying on refusing to rise, as if there was immense danger in front of them. For dangerous sensing, animals always surpass humans. Come on! Come on! Ye Wu angrily patted the Winged Tigers with the sword side. But at this moment, a dragon yin suddenly sounded in the sky. Ang, Long Xiao and Ye, sounded in all directions. Tigers can never be compared to dragons, facing fierce beasts. Fierce winged tigers are cuddling, as if they were tamed kittens. Ye Wu! How brave you are, a cold voice came. Everyone looked up, and saw a crystal water dragon hanging in the air. On the dragon, a young boy in white stood upright. The wind was strong, shaking his horns, as if the of heaven came. Master 8, Lu Changqing and the soldiers under him both exclaimed excitedly. At this moment, their eyes were a little blurred. Correspondingly, Ye Wen, Ye Wu, and others were frightened. Old man, things are not like this, things. Ye Wu panicked, trying to urge the winged tiger to escape, but the winged tiger was like a mud of mud, and did not dare to move. Ye Wu jumped off the winged tiger and hurried away. Now I'm afraid, it's late. Let's die. Ye Kong didn't listen to the explanation and knew Ye Wu was not a good thing. Ka-cha, a thunder splits and splits, and Ye Wu results in a split second. The thunder is split into several corpses and becomes a scorch of cooked meat. Ye Wen, who was still thinking about touching the fish in the muddy water, did not expect Ye Kong to return at this time, watching his brother and his brother die in front of him, and he yelled at Ye Kong in the air, "Ye Kong! Saint aims for this. I wait act in the decree. Don't you be afraid of your majesty?" Imperial decree. Ye Kong smiled coldly, raised his hand, Ye Wen's imperial decree flew over. Ye Kong opened it for a look, and even called several times, "Okay. Good." He then shredded the decree. Everyone looked at Ye Kong's behavior, and they were all surprised. Although Ye Kong was an immortal, but that was the imperial edict of the emperor. The emperor also had the support of the immortal. Your courage is too great. Ye Kong. You shatter the imperial edict, you will not kill you. Your majesty will not spare you, Ye Wen yelled at Ye Kong in the air with his sword. Your majesty? Huh, in Lao Tzu's eyes, he is even a bird. Ye Kong raised his hand again, a thunderbolt, and scorched Ye Wen and the winged tiger he was sitting on, all of them burnt. Seeing Ye Wen and Ye Wu brothers hang up, those soldiers were frightened and no one greeted them and fled. Master 8. They are all the murderers of blood-washing Ye Fu, Lu Changqing yelled and swooped up with his sergeant. Then go to death. Ye Kong hurriedly rushed, the fire in his chest was already lit, the big sleeves kept waving. Wind blades, fireballs, and thunderbolts, like raindrops, are killed when they see the soldiers in the blink of an eye. After killing the Guangfu soldiers, Ye Kong landed. Lu Changqing, tell me what is going on. I don't know the specific situation. On that day, I took a team of people to the grain to Jiananzai. Suddenly a group of defeated soldiers fled and said that the Winged Tiger Battalion was wiped out, and the Jiananzai camp was also captured by the barbarians. The Winged Tiger Battalion is the most elite army of the Ye family, and the most terrifying place of the barbarians. How could it be easily wiped out? But Ye Kong can guess without thinking about it. Ye Wen Ye Wu must have colluded with the barbarians. With their anti-bone generals, why worry about Yuhuing? Ye Kong really regrets that he didn't kill the two people earlier, and it is a disaster. I only listened to Lu Changqing and said, at that time, I couldn't care about escorts. I organized people and went to the rescue. But I came to the outskirts of Jenny's village, but found that it was surrounded by hundreds of thousands of barbarians. I rushed several times I couldn't rush in at all, but was almost besieged. Finally I had to break out and rush back to the southern capital with a few brothers. I wanted to reinforce the soldiers here, but who knows? Lu Changqing said, this iron bone man even shed tears in his eyes and choked. Hu Chengxiao that nag refused to send troops, instead holding the decree to say that General Ye colluded with the barbarous intention to rebel, wait for me to arrive at Ye government, but found that there were already many people slaughtered here. Lu Changqing said without crying, holding Ye Kong's leg and crying, Master 8, you have to take revenge on the generals. Are you all dead? Ye Kong was also red and swollen with eyes. He was still late, but what worried him most was the three women at home. Oh, not yet. Lu Changqing remembered something again, and hurriedly pointed to the side of the inner courtyard, saying, Master 8, in the courtyard where you live, your mother may be alive, Ye Wen, they are attacking that inaccessible room. Without waiting for Lu Changqing to finish, Ye Kong radiographed away. To him, this is undoubtedly good news. In fact, most people in Yefu have no feelings. If the old women are still alive, it is a blessing in misfortune. Mother. It's me, I'm back. Ziokin, you can open the array. Yekong ran outside the door and shouted loudly, although this was his original cloth array, but he didn't start it, so it must also be opened by the people inside. But the answer was long-term quiet, the formation was still there, and there was no response. My son, let me hit. This formation is easy to break, Deo said suddenly. Okay, pay attention to your safety. If Yekong used Bao to go forcibly, it would take some time. How could Deo be powerful? Boom, there was a loud noise, and the spiritual practice could not stop Deo at all. Bai Liang's formation flashed, and it collapsed like soap bubbles. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Xianxia. Chapter 210. 2020 Jailbreak. Mother. Ziokin. Xiaohong. I'm back. Yekong rushed into the room. With tears in his smile, he is still alive to the people who matter most to him. What makes him unhappy? But when he rushed into the room, he stood on the spot. The room was so empty, nobody was there. No one, Lu Changqing, who came in behind, also froze. There was no one here. What was Ye Wen doing? Did they suffer too? Yekong's heart seemed to be wrapped in a plastic bag, struggling, breathless. Mother. I am back. I have found the elixir for your face. But, how can this be? Ah, Yekong raised his head and roared loudly, rushed out of the room, took off his sword, and went straight to Chen Xiaofu. Master 8. I know you won't let me go. Hu Changxiao, who had received his report, sat in the lobby. He knew it was too late to escape, and he might as well wait for Yekong. Knowing that you are destroying my door, Yekong growled. Neither your mother nor your two women. Then I will destroy your door. Ha ha, Hu Changxiao actually laughed, and then smiled. Yekong, you are nothing but ruthless to me. I tell you, all this was planned by the emperor. The emperor has reached an agreement with the barbarians, the abandonment of Nanzhou in exchange for the barbarians' annihilation of Yejiajin, including the assassination of Yeharan and the surprise attack on Jiananzai were all planned by the emperor. I am only performing the decree. After finishing speaking, Hu Changxiao fell off his official hat and patted his neck. If you want to hack, hack. If you really want revenge, go to the emperor. Ha ha, how dare you? Don't think you are an immortal. How powerful is that, telling you that the emperor has two protectors of the building base? Building a ferry, Yekong laughed shamefully. Hu Changxiao didn't know what Yekong was doing. He thought he was taller than the Zuji Xianren, so he said, perhaps the Zuji Xianren is nothing to you. The biggest martial art in fairyland. Can you offend? After Hu Changxiao said it, he changed his tone and said in a different tone, Yekong, since this is the end of the matter, I think you might as well leave it alone. I will give you a few more words, and your majesty will not hold you accountable. I'll go to your mother. Yekong waited for Hu Changxiao to finish, and split him into two sections with one stroke. Destroy my family, I will destroy his family. What about the emperor? City guardhouse water prison. It was dark and wet here, with various torture hanging on the wall, and a scream from time to time added a little fear. Brother, I'm so itchy. Lu Yi, tied to the water, said weakly. He was buried in the water below his chest, his shawl was exuding, and his exposed shoulders were covered with whip marks. Although he was itching everywhere, he couldn't hold it because his hands were locked. The opposite Lu Jun is also a face, he also itch, he knows that this itch is not a good thing, it means that the skin on the body has ulcerated, he has seen the corpse dragged out of the water prison, the skin rotten out of the holes, you can seeing Sensen's bones inside. The most disgusting thing is that people are still alive, but their bodies are full of maggots. Lu Jun didn't know if he and his brother would end like this, but he didn't lose his confidence, because he knew that Master 8 would come to save them. Not far from the water cell, there was another tragedy in an interrogation cell. Taiji, why did you catch me as a dusty woman? What crime did I commit? Although a beautiful woman with a charming charm was tied to a wooden cross, she still couldn't keep her beauty and the moving curves of her body. What crimes have you committed? Taiji Si sneered. You and the 8th Ye family, colluded with the barbarians, betrayed Angguo, and everyone in the southern metropolis knows that you are embarrassed to ask me what crimes I have committed. You fart, Feng Xiniang retorted. Our girl in Tibet Chunlu welcomes quartet men and leans against the door to laugh. We care who you are. As long as you have money, you can be an uncle. You can play with girls if you give money. Right? Tai Yanxi laughed. Yes, I'll publish my personal hatred. How about it? Are you not proud? Don't you give me face? Now is the time for you to pay the price. Taiji Si had been embarrassing for a long time, embarrassed in Tibet Chunlu again and again, and he finally waited for revenge. Feng Xiniang, I heard that you are not picking up customers, and you don't sell much money, haha, I will not give you money to play with you today. Taipi smiled timidly, approaching Feng Xiniang step by step. Go, Feng Xiniang spit on him and cursed, are you not afraid that Master 8 will come back and ask for your life? Ha 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 ha, I heard that your has a leg with Ye Kong, and it still looks true now, ha ha, I can't wait for the kid to come back, just to show him how I play his woman. Ha ha, slut, let brother Tai give you pleasure, Tai Yanxi fluttered with a chuckle. Animals. 8 masters will crush you to death, Feng Xiniang kept scolding, but she was with her hands and feet. She couldn't resist, she only used words to express her anger. But what's the use of that? Words cannot stop Taiji division, nor can they stop the dress from being ripped apart, revealing snow-white body. Master 8. Come back to save my sister. Otherwise, my sister will be humiliated by this guy, Feng Xiniang muttered in her heart, closed her eyes, and 2 lines of tears slipped quietly. In such a world, can weak women resist? She was waiting to be humiliated, but when her clothes were torn, Taiji stopped moving. Feng Xiniang thought that Taiji Si had come up with some way to torture herself. She opened her eyes suddenly and shouted angrily, you bastard! My mother is a ghost. Her words suddenly stopped, squinting with tears in her eyes, and suddenly opened the boss. Through the tears, she even saw Ye Kong. Is it you? You are really back? Feng Xiniang said, already in tears. Let's go, save me with Lu Jun and Lu Yi. Ye Kong cut off the rope that tied Feng Xiniang and pulled her out of the cell. Tai Si had already become a corpse. The night is still deep. It was a sleepless night, and few people could actually fall asleep. They hid behind the door, listening to the sound of the pace of the outside sergeant, running and running, their hearts, lifted and fell, know what's going on outside. Ye Kong integrated the information from all parties and understood the current situation. Anggu Emperor and Rushan and the barber Chaha Khan reached an agreement and sold the land in Nanzhou in exchange for barbarians to destroy Yejiajin. Ye Harem was assassinated by the emperor on the way back. Ye Wei was surrounded by the barbarous army. He broke out hopelessly, and took a few generals of Yejiajin. Chen Juniang, Lu Qin, and Xiao Hong escaped, but escaped all night without any clue. The rest of the Ye family are dead. The Mad Cultivator. Author, Jian Yi. Chapter 211. 200 Barbarians Sweat. Lu Jun, Lu Yi, you take Feng Xiniang to find a place to hide. Ye Kong took out the silver and some elixir from the storage bag. What about you? Feng Xiniang asked nervously. I'm going to take revenge. Ye Kong clenched his fists. He must not let this hatred go away, and he wanted all enemies to pay the price. This night, he killed all the soldiers who went to Yefu to copy his family. Next, he was going to Andu to kill the one on the Golden Palace. Don't, Feng Xiniang's guess was confirmed. She looked pale and begged, Master, master, don't go. He is the emperor. The king wants to die, the minister has to die. Huh. This sentence has no effect on me. All those who mess with me will pay the price. What about the emperor? Although Yekong is an immortalist, but he is an emperor. Even if he is mortal, it is not so easy to deal with. When the brothers of the Lu family and Feng Xiniang couldn't stop persuading, Lu Changqing rushed in, anxiously, no, the barbarian army has already attacked aggressively. Let's run away. Yekong stood up and smiled coldly, let me avenge my brother first. Lu Changqing saw Yekong retreating, and said immediately, Master 8, that's not 2,000 government soldiers, it's a 200,000 barbarian army. What about the 200,000 army? Yekong snorted, and strode out. Outside the southern capital, the barbarian army account. Chaha Khan, who was just awake, was drinking a cup of milk tea. He conquered the grassland and regained the great work of Nanzhou. This is the last step before him. Sweat, sweat, why ordered the attack on the southern capital? We didn't reach an agreement with the Emperor Angguo, only to destroy the Ye family and not occupy the southern capital. An old man with a goatee came in. The old man's impoliteness made Chaha sweat very unpleasant. The barbarians have always paid no attention to politeness, but with the expansion of military exploits and fields, he increasingly hopes that his men will respect him more. Chaha Khan was unhappy, and snorted coldly, my right son, are you the prime minister of the Angolan emperor? The Emperor Angu sent you to supervise the implementation of the agreement. Yu Sungxiang was startled, and quickly knelt down and said, Big Sweat, Chen didn't mean that. But, if this is the case, will it make An Rushan feel uncomfortable? Chaha Khan laughed, An Rushan has reached the point where he can rely on foreigners to destroy himself. What kind of emperor can he get angry? But does that seem like we don't talk about credit? Chaha Khan even laughed out loud, credit? Can a paper agreement stop me? The kneeling right-handed man was shocked by the momentum of sweating, and hurriedly whispered, Bright Sweating, your iron hoof will surely conquer the world, and turn the Kangnan continent into your pasture. Although Chaha Khan knew this was impossible, he was still very happy and looked up and laughed. But soon someone interrupted the heroic laughter. Sweat is not good, the immortal. The southern city flew out of an immortal, it seems to be against us, a guard rushed in. Cultivation of immortals, Zahan frowned and groaned, the war of mortals generally does not involve immortals. This is an agreement that has been reached between the barbaric monks and the northern monks. Even if there is a figure of an immortal in the war, it's just a little action behind the scenes. How can it be so brazen? He was groaning and heard a shout from outside, Chaha sweats, you and your army, the dead time has come. Where's the daredevil? Chaha Khan thought that it was an unruly daredevil, and he walked out with his clothes completely. I saw a young man in a white shirt stepping on a flying carpet, hovering high in the air, and a golden sun rising on his shoulders. Cultivators. Do you understand the rules? Fairies are not allowed to participate in mortal wars. Don't you be afraid to provoke a war between the entire northern and barbarian monks. Although Chaha Khan is not an immortal, he is also a master of martial arts, he shouted with internal force, so that the head of the southern capital, hundreds of meters away, could hear clearly. Rules, Yekong sneered, there are no rules in Lao Tzu's dictionary, so you understand better. Lao Tzu is Yeharan's eighth son. Now, come to avenge my brother Ye Wei and tens of thousands of Yejiajin generals coming. Surprisingly, Chaha Khan didn't panic. He smiled loudly and said, Shuzi, since you don't care about the rules, then don't blame me for Chaha's rules. After he had said it, he told the right-hand minister, go, invite me Master Xia. Hearing the words of Zhaiche Khan, Yekong was condensed, but he did not expect that Zha Khan also had a cultivator. Soon, the so-called Master Xia appeared, and Yekong found out that this was his old acquaintance. Master Xia was one of the 4 monks who had besieged him at Bulinling Mountain last time. At that time, 4 monks of Dandan were killed by Yekong and 1 was killed by Lianrulan. This was the least injured escape. The boy left Gulingshan and wanted to find a place to repair Jindan, but he needed a lot of elixir to repair Jindan, so he went to Zha Khan. The barbarian people live near the 100,000 great mountains. Although they are poor, they can still get a lot of spiritual herbs in the mountains, so monk Xia temporarily stayed in the army of Zha Khan, and waited for all kinds of spirits to be collected. Then go behind closed doors to practice. Zha sweated and called him out to help him. His heart was very good at first. You know, he's not in the cultivation period now. The breakdown of Jindan caused him to use only the mana during the foundation period. He was also afraid of encountering it. An intractable master, he will lose more than he gains. But when he came out and looked at it, he was suddenly angry. Mage Xia, how do you compare to him? Zha Khan hurriedly asked. He knew that Xiaoda was injured and could not exert all his mana, so he was still a bit uneasy. Master Xia laughed, sweat, kill these minor repairs, the odds are 10%. Okay, Zha was overjoyed. He knew that among the cultivators, they all rely on their strength to speak, and those with great disparities can slay each other with only one move. Master Xia is so confident that it seems that the cultivation is far higher. To the young monk opposite. I'm afraid this minor repairer has to retreat when he has difficulty. Haha, this kind of minor monk also came out to shame. Presumably the officers and soldiers in the city saw him running away, they must have lost their confidence to continue to resist and let themselves break through the city easily. But to the surprise of Zha Khan, the little monk did not escape or hide, but satirically said, "You are defeated by the spirit bone gate, do you still feel embarrassed? I think I have lived too long."